In this video, you're going to be taking a look at the Mandalorian Super Commando for the Black Series 6-inch line. I think he should properly be titled the Mandalorian Super Commando Captain, though. As I recall, on the packaging for this, they just left it as Mandalorian Super Commando. As far as I know, there's not really a distinguishable difference between the standard Super Commando and then the ones here that are supposed to be like the Captain, where they have the horns on top. I'm not exactly sure if there is any way of distinguishing that, or if some of the normal Super Commandos did have this ultimately. Let me know in the comments if you do know a thing or two about that. So I was fortunate enough to find this at retail back in 2020, actually. I know a lot of people were on the hunt for this wave and were not very lucky about finding this at all. And I distinctively recall getting on eBay around, I think it was October, November 2020, and seeing people listing the Season 7 Ahsoka for like $60 plus. And then I was fortunate enough to find her at retail at the same time as this. So I found the whole wave, and I ended up getting the Super Commando here, and then the Ahsoka to go along with him. And I'll be doing the video on her very soon. And then there was also the Mandalorian Loyalist, and then there was the Ahsoka Clone Trooper, which I skipped out on both of those. I thought they were kind of generic. And fortunately, over time, it seems like the prices for those two have been relatively stable. They're a little bit above retail price, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for getting a good deal on them and potentially adding them to the collection. But I'm not really sure if I'm going to be adding those, but we'll see. So it's been almost 2 years now since I reviewed the Super Commando Captain from the TVC line. This action figure right here. And I figure it's about time to finally get this his Black Series counterpart reviewed on the channel. And it's pretty good. It's mostly a repaint / retool. It's reutilizing a lot of parts from the Jango Fett. In fact, I think just about all the parts on this are reutilized from Jango Fett. The only main differences is I think he has new shoulder pads here, or shoulder armor. And then, of course, the helmet, I think, is modified with the maul horns up here. And then, of course, the standard repaint. But other than that, I think it's all about the same. I think that's the same jetpack as well. So I really like this action figure from the first time I saw these Maul Mandalorians in the Clone Wars series back in, what was it, 2010 or 11, I think it was. I instantly knew that I would want an action figure of these guys at some point, and it took us, almost a decade before Hasbro finally did it. But they did a pretty good job nonetheless, despite being mostly reused parts. So the helmet sculpt is pretty good. The visor is painted pretty nicely. No real major smudges or anything. Do notice I have a small bit on the edge there, but it's not that bad. We have the Maul deco at the top of the head there, along with all the horns. It's very neat. Nice red paint all around. Then we have some of these horns off the shoulder armor there. And then a little bit of Maul's pattern on the torso there. Then the gauntlets, which are pretty typical for Mandalorian. And then with the wiring attached to the bicep. We have the standard Mandalorian belt. 2 holsters on both sides here. And then the knee and shin armor here, which they painted some scuffs on that shin armor. And a little bit on the knee there. It's pretty nice. In terms of his articulation, it's the exact same as the Jango Fett, which I do have the video of on the channel. But I'll go over it again one more time regardless. He does have a ball joint to head. His head is totally hollow underneath, and Obviously, he doesn't have a removable helmet. But even though it's hollowed out underneath, the articulation feels a little more restricted on this than what you would think for having a hollowed out helmet. But still, you can get it in most of the good poses. You can have it look down quite a ways and then look up. But it doesn't have a lot of side-to-side motion, which is interesting. Of course, it can look sideways like this, but not tilt, I guess. Now, he does have hinged shoulders, but I would recommend being careful because of the horns protruding on both sides. You want to potentially break those over time. He has a swivel bicep there, and hinged elbow, and hinged wrists, which I think they both go in and out. Yeah, I think they both go in and out. Then a joint at the torso, hinged hips, and then swivel at the thigh. Then the double hinge at the knees, because it's an older sculpt. Then the rocker ankles. In terms of weapons and accessories, he's very light. He does not come with the rifle that comes with the TBC action figure, which is kind of unfortunate. He just has the two standard pistols here, standard Mandalorian ones. Not a whole lot to say about that. And they're entirely cast in gray. But he does hold them well in both hands. And both of them fit in the holsters. It is kind of a tight fit though, so I wouldn't recommend forcing it all the way down the holster, and then it might take you forever to try and pry it back out. But when I have them displayed, I have the pistols in both hands anyway. Of course, this body was reutilized for pre-Vizsla. Then for his last accessory is the jetpack, which is removable. But not a whole lot to say about that. And it doesn't have any holes at the bottom of the thrusters there to do any jet effects or anything. Well, I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about the Maul Mandalorian here, or Mandalorian Super Commando, or Super Commando Captain. Would I recommend it for your collection? I would. It's a really good action figure. I wouldn't recommend paying an outrageous price for it, but if you find a good deal for it and you really want this guy for your collection, I think he's a winner, quite frankly. We'll do a quick comparison here between the TBC figure and this one. I don't think there's really a significant difference. You can see some of the paint apps are a little different, like the gray on this one's much darker for the TBC figure, while this one's more lighter. TBC figure has that gap between the torso and the belt there, while this one does not. This one has a gray mixed with some red paint of a codpiece, while this one's just all red. And then the scuffs on the Black Series figure here, while this one does not have anything. And the jetpacks are similar but different. See the differences in the paint apps. There's red on the back of the helmet there. Well, this one's just solid black. And then the red on the Black Series action figure, I think, is a little bit more of a brighter, more glossier red. While the TBC figure is a much more matte red. And some slight differences in the Maul deco there at the top of the head. But yeah, recommended action figure. If you find one for a good price, I would say you should jump on that opportunity and take it. happy he's been a part of my collection for the last 4 years. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support, and check out some of the links in the description if you haven't done so already. As always, thanks for watching.